Hello and welcome back to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet UK, where we are on to the fifth and final day of Royal Ascot 2023. And Andrew Mount and I, as my door shuts in the wind, I'm hoping, rather than the ghost, as Andrew Mount and I are going to through the final 7 races of the final day. And we kickstart with the listed Chesham Stakes for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs at 2:30. And surprise, surprise, Aidan O'Brien looks to have a strong hand in the opener. He has the favourite and the second favourite, Pearls and Rubies, the 11-4 market leader from Content at 6-1. So, Andrew, what's the play?
Yeah, tricky one, isn't it? I mean, you look at Pearls and Rubies, you think, overcame greenness to win from the favourite on debut. Was a drifter that day, 15 to 8 out to 3-1. And you can sort of be tempted for thinking, yeah, obvious claims. When you look at this race last year, Holloway Boy winning at 40-1. A horse we'll touch on later on as well. So I was, as you'd expect from me, looking at those at bigger prices. I was probably going to take on LaGuardia, the third favourite. Ammo Racing, horses tend to be very precocious, and like the ones trained by Richard Hannon, you make a good profit backing them on their debuts, you make a good profit backing them second time out. But I think he's 1 from 22 with the juveniles on their third career start. So you just wonder whether that improvement's going to continue. So I'll take her on as well, despite her being by New Bay, a side that I like. The one I was looking at a big price is Count Palatine for Brian Meehan, 40-1. Now, Brian Meehan's typically improved for their debut efforts. They generally make good bets second time out. And this one was real eye catcher behind Chief Mankato on debut at Windsor, finishing 5th. And we've already seen that form ranked, I think, the third and fourth of one since. I know the Millman horse, the Millman Yard are very keen on that, because I think James was sort of talking up Chief Mankato for one of the earlier races at Royal Ascot, but because he got upset in the stalls and was withdrawn. So let's go with that form and go Count Palatine each way at 40s.
40-1 for Brian Meehan's runner. Yeah, like I say, that form looks very strong from the 5th place finish on debut for Count Palatine. So not one to underestimate at 40-1, a big play in our opener. That's what we like. Right, 7 furlongs again for our second race, the Group 3 Jersey Stakes for 3-year-olds over 7 furlongs at 3:05. Covey is the 5-2 favourite in a bid to bring up a 4-timer for the man that all eyes will be on his final Royal Ascot day, Frankie Dettori. But Andrew, will it be a fairy tale finale for Frankie Dettori, or are you going to play this cold-heartedly?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, 3 years ago, I'd say no, definitely not, because last time out, winners have got a terrible record in the Jersey Stakes. And then, of course, Mr. Appleby ruined that, didn't he, with Creative Force, a horse you were very keen on 2 years ago, I think.
Oh, thanks for remembering.
Rightly. And Noble Truth, again, another Charlie Appleby trained last time out winner. I mean, go back to 2009, it's now 2 from 66 in the Jersey Stakes for last time out winners. I mean, the expected winners was in excess of 5, and so only Charlie Appleby has trained the last time out winner to win this in that period. Probably not a stat to take as much notice of now. He's got Mysterious Night in the first time tongue tie. He's been nibbled out in the betting today. Camilla Stall 13 with William Buick was beaten last time out, but gelded since. I thought Mysterious Night could run well in a bid to give Charlie Appleby a hat-trick in the race. Covey, obvious form chance, but then he has been making all, hasn't he? And will he be able to pull off such tactics if that's the plan in such a huge field? So, possibly not. Kwar Shamar was sort of vaguely interested on that form with Paddington, but he was prominent on the inside that day when it was a big advantage to be up for the pace around the inside. I think you sort of take the winner out, the rest perhaps not worth following. And the one I'm coming back to is Holloway Boy, because mentioned won the opener on this card last year. First run at Ascot since. Maybe he can do a Bradsell and be revitalised by the return to this venue. Now you look at his form. Since that debut Royal Ascot win, he ran second on a couple of occasions, third over a mile, and then Visored first time, heavy ground at Doncaster. He's run behind Auguste Rodin, and he's done best of those who raced on the far side. And we heard a lot of talk about in that vertical futurity, that you wanted to be towards the near side rail, drawn high. And King of Steel, of course, stall 2 was also on the far side in that race, and trailed home in 7th place, and of course has run really well in the Derby since. So now next time out, Holloway Boy went to the 2000 Guineas behind Geraldine. He raced keenly, a mile on soft ground, coming back in trip on quicker going. I think is really going to suit him. Coming back to Ascot can revitalise him as well. Carl Burke's horse is generally running well. So 16 to 1, stall 2 might not be great. We don't know. Wait to see what the going stick readings suggest. But yeah, I'll take a chance with Holloway Boy.
16 to 1, Holloway Boy for Carl Burke back over this course and distance that he loves. Right, it is the Group 1 Queen Elizabeth II stakes. Catchy, isn't it? So we definitely need one of our abbreviations for this. So I guess it can only be called the QE2 Jubes, really, can't it?
Rest in peace, the Platty Jubes. We enjoyed it while it lasted.
Exactly. Long live the Platty Jubes. How we missed that title. But yeah, the QE2 Jubes for the 4-year-olds and over 6 furlongs at 340. And the Aussies, well represented with Artorias at 130 favourite from the Hong Kong runner, Wellington at 6 to 1. Highfield Princess. Will we get to see her on this 4-day turnaround? Andrew, this is great, isn't it? Who wins it?
Yeah, this is a cracking old race. And of course, last year, Naval Crown 33 to 1, Charlie Appleby, 2nd or 3rd string, caused a bit of an upset from a favourable high draw in stall 20. Creative Force and Artorias both ran blinders from their poor draws, finishing 2nd and 3rd. Artorias was drawn in stall 2. That was a real eye-catching effort. He's back for more, coming out of stall 8 this time. Is that going to be a help or a hindrance? In a field of 16 middle, that gives him options, doesn't it? I think it should be absolutely fine. So he's going to run a big race, but his chances covered in the price of 4 to 1. Highfield Princess, cracking run behind Bradsell in the King's Stand, of course, on Tuesday. I think the plan's always been to run in both races. Stepping back up to 6 furlongs isn't going to hurt. So stall 16. If again the going stick suggests that you want to be drawn high, you'd have to give her a chance at 6 to 1. So yeah, you're trying to pick holes in those at the head of the market. It's quite difficult actually, but I'm going to go with Rohan because the winner of the
stole my thunder.
Yeah, winner of the Wokingham for the last 2 years, and just an absolutely fantastic horse and a great advert for the talents of trainer David Evans. You look at his record at Ascot, absolutely fantastic, and he last ran here behind Kinross in the champion sprint stakes last October. First 3 drawn 17, 14 and 13. Kinross, Run to Freedom and a Creative Force, and on the far side, best of his group, best of the 11 to race on the far side was Rohan from stall 6, and he's the only one in the first 7 who were drawn in single figures. That was a huge effort, and proves that he's up to Group 1 class, and ground wise he seems to handle absolutely everything. Adam Kirby on this time rather than Ryan Moore. 12 to 1. I thought, given his course form, he's a fair each way shout. So cracking race, really looking forward to it. Emiratiana worth a quick mention, given Kevin Ryan's runners show a profit on their return from wind surgery, and he's had a wind up since we last saw him. 50 to 1 if you want one from left field, but yeah, I'll go Rohan.
Well, I will forgive you because you've done such a good job of explaining it, and also I'm just delighted that you agree with Rohan in here as well, where he just looked the fair price to me in this race as well. For all that, I hugely respect Wellington. I mean, Wellington could easily be one of the best sprinters in the world. I mean, that's the only thing, is that over here, of course, our knowledge of Hong Kong form wouldn't be fantastic, but the horse that's been beating in Lucky Sway and S, everyone says that he probably is the best 6 furlong horse on the planet. So for him to be bumping into him over and over then and still be running well in defeat surely just drags him up to near enough that level, which when we see like Nature Strip last year coming over for the King's Stand, that a horse of this caliber in these types of sprints might just be enough to absolutely blitz our horses. But yeah, Artorias though, I mean, they're pretty confident, but the Aussies haven't had much to shout about so far this week. But yeah, it was Rohan for me as well. 12 to 1 about him currently. Now of course he has had his hand forced somewhat to come out of the Wokingham, the 0 to 110 handicap. He's now rated 112. So up into Group 1 company here, but it is the whole horses for courses, that cliche coming to the fore. But I try and cite over and over for Ascot especially. And there doesn't come as much better course and distance form and a proven performer than Rohan. And he proved himself up to this class when he finished 4th in the Group 1 Sprint Stakes at the end of last season, where he did best of the group on that far rail. 4 from 6 at Ascot. 2 defeats coming when he when doing best, well, like I say, doing best of those on the far rail in the Sprint Stakes, and the other time in that same race last year when he bled. So 0 from 7 in Group 1s, but over his favourite course and distance, as you say, Andrew, cannot be underestimated. Running into a place, hopefully, Rohan came for both of us too. And now we are on to the Group 2 Hardwicke Stakes for the 4-year-olds and over a mile 4 at 4:20. Wokingham, who heads the way as a 7 to 4 market leader to show his class again, just as he did last time at Sandown. But Andrew, who are you siding with?
Yeah, it's a good race, this, isn't it? I think I'll side with Wokingham without necessarily wanting to have a bet in the race. I mean, just look at his form since he's been fitted with a tongue tie. First, second by a neck to our old friend Hamish, as Darryl would call him.
Number 2 on the list.
Yeah, sort of, first, 7th in the Dubai Shima Classic, first. So yeah, he's taken off recently, hasn't he? And I know we won't get the chance to see the value of the Desert Crown form in the Brigadier Gerard last time with Desert Crown. So has he been retired now, or is he just off for the season? I'm not sure.
Who was that, sorry?
Desert Crown, the one he beat into second.
No, yeah, he's just had another setback, but yeah, who really knows? I'd say they want another go at him if they can bring him in, if they can bring him back anyway. But yeah, it's in the balance.
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to side with Wokingham. Free Wind, of course, his form of his York win was franked when Rogue Millennium, the narrow second that day, because won the Duke of Cambridge Stakes at Royal Ascot on Wednesday. So that, I mean, again, you look at his form since he made his debut. I mean, can you believe this? This was a horse who was 14 to 1 for his debut, running at Wolverhampton. In a fillies maiden. She's got been a length and a half into 4th, and then fast forward 18 months, she's rated 115, and she comes and since switched to turf, 6 wins from 7 starts, with a defeat by 3/4 of a length. The only time Nicky McKay rode. Probably not fair to sort of blame the defeat on him. It was more a case of pace bias at Newmarket. The winner, Golden Pass, who was favourite, has Mador dictated, bossed it from the front, and after sort of racing prominently early, she was shuffled back to midfield, and sort of had to come again. Went down by 3/4 of a length. So arguably unlucky not to be unbeaten on turf. So yeah, this is a serious horse Wokingham is taking on. Pile Driver, one we all love as well. You can't help but even if you don't back him when he wins, just enjoy the reaction of his trainers and connections. He's been off the track for 336 days, and he's been talked up in the press by his connections. So yeah, it's a good old race, and I'll go Wokingham, but it's one to watch and enjoy for me rather than to bet him.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? You almost don't really, because it is so cool, this race, that you almost don't really want to have too much of a financial involvement to be having the bias in it. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely adore Pile Driver. I mean, everyone will be sick of me talking about his Damn Le Pile by now. Still to this day, the most terrifying horse I've ever worked with, like the standout terrifying horse. But Pile Driver doesn't seem to have inherited those traits from her, because he's an absolute dude. But I am concerned about him on his reappearance. I expect him to run well, but yeah, he's a horse where he does tend to need his first start, and 336 days off the track. As you say, Free Wind, her success last time out, which came on the back of a lengthy absence herself, was well boosted yesterday by Rogue Millennium, and Free Wind winning that, entitled to come on for more. But yeah, Wokingham would be still the one for me though to be beating here, and I'm so pleased for Connections with the career threatening injury that he had. Well, it was thought of that it was pretty much career ending for him. So to see him come back from such an absence to beat Desert Crown in such gritty style as well. Yeah, I Wokingham is the one to beat. I just hope that the ground isn't too quick for him, but with Connections here, I mean, everything that they're getting from him is a bonus. So I'd say if it was too quick, or if they felt that there might be any jar in it, they just wouldn't run him. They've got nothing else to, have to prove with him really. So Wokingham for me as well in the Hardwicke. Now we are on to the aforementioned Wokingham, one of the most competitive handicaps of the year, a 0 to 110 heritage handicap, 4-3 odds and over 6 pounds at 5 o'clock. 8 to 1 the field with Orazio heading the way. So Andrew, I'm gonna pass this one to you.
Yeah, I'm going to take on the favourite. The concern is the likelihood or possibility, at least, of fast ground. He won on officially good ground at Windsor on his debut. He comes in here on the back of 2 wins, good to soft and soft ground, and having bombed out, albeit in Group 2 company. The only time he ran on ground with the word firm in the description, to have to be slightly concerned, particularly taking 8 to 1 about a horse in such a competitive race. Kanjar I wasn't keen on. I actually bet Kanjar last time out at Hamilton because he was running in a small field. You look at his runs in single figure lineups, first, second by a length last time when he blew the start and lost several lengths. So traffic problems is the concern. Maybe they'll split into 3 groups and he'll end up only racing with a handful down the stand side from stall 24, or maybe that will be where the best ground is and they'll all crowd him, and first time cheap pieces, maybe that will help him face a bigger field, but not for me at a sort of shortest price. Probe was on the radar anti-post, but I was hoping for soft ground if I was going to back him. Ryan Moore's on. He's 11s from 16s recently, but the ground is probably not going to be in his favour, although he's progressive. Fresh, you would say has a great record here, or did until his last couple of runs, and perhaps at the age of 6 is not the force he was a year or 2 ago. King's Lynn, I've never been a fan of. Lethal Levi's half interesting, good run at York last time out, and you could back Lethal Force Progeny blind over 6 furlongs at Ascot, make a promise. Apollo 1 I'll take on. I thought he was flattered coming from off the pace at Epsom last time out. And so he was going down the field. Mum's Tipple's probably the first one I'm going to bet. But it'll be in the Tote Exotics, and sort of backing him to finish second as a banker in the trifecta. His last 2 runs here he's finished second. He does like saying after you, sir, and letting one past him at the business end. Frankie Dettori on board. So maybe the field to win. Mum's Tipple second and the field for third. That could be the way to play it. And then we're going to, what's going to happen? We're going to come down to our old friend, Mr. Wagyu, and I'm going to suggest that we have a little interest. 15 wins from 32 starts in June or July. Profit of £67.35. Really good run. His first summer run this year when he was third to Badri at Epsom, because again, it was Epsom on the Saturday. If you're anywhere near the front end, you didn't have a prayer. He was far too prominent. He led 2 furlongs out. He's got done by 2 that have come late and wide, Badri and Apollo 1. Next time out, he's gone to Hardwicke, and he's drawn high, which of course, based on the previous meeting in the Temple Stakes, he wanted to be drawn high, but of course what happens, Kirkland's got the tap out and the bias is switched, and you want to be down the middle this time, and that high draw wasn't so advantageous. Still probably a disappointing effort, but the ground was very, very fast that day, and maybe it didn't suit. I'm not going to dismiss him on the account of one bad run. His only bad run from 32 runs in June, July during his illustrious career. Yes, he's an 8-year-old. Maybe he's not the force of old, but placed in this last year, he's 25 to 1. So yeah, that's where my each way arrow is going. No surprises if you guess that one.
No, exactly. Third one on the Vigo card is up. Yeah, so we've still got a couple more to go to complete the line. But Mr. Wagyu then 25 to 1 about him. Like I say, I feel that people were almost offended by Mr. Wagyu last time out, because we know, like say, you can set your watch by him, but at the end of the day, he's a horse, and there are a few blips within even the strength of his June and July record. There are going to be blips in those, and perhaps that was one. And I was dying to ask you actually why you thought that was such a disappointing effort, and if there were any other circumstances.
I should try and contact Sean Quinn, of course, our William Hill radio colleague, who is assistant trainer to his father John, and might be able to shed some light on it. But I don't think I'm happy to forgive that one run, and you could just say, well, we're just going to get a bigger price than we would have done, normally had he won that race. Yeah. So fingers crossed, Mr. Wagyu can bounce back.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Like you say, because I feel like everyone was so hurt by him that everyone's just kind of ignored him now, and he's 25 to 1, Mr. Wagyu, to bounce back to better form. So is he going to be the main play each way, or Mum's Tipple, or are you going to have both? Yeah,
I'll probably just play small each way on both of them, and thinking that if I back Mum's Tipple, and he's going to find one to fetch him out in the closing stages.
Yeah, he does tend to do that. I'm with Lethal Levi here. I said to leave it to you. I actually have got an opinion in this race. Lethal Levi. So I'm happy that you said you had half an interest in him. Have history with him. I think we both have history with him from the Stewards Cup at Goodwood last year, where, God, he was so well in and he absolutely blew it. Completely blew the start. Could never get involved. I'm still trying to get him to make amends then for that, for my pocket. So I'm a glutton for punishment. Going in again, he did run below himself on his reappearance this campaign, but that was forgivable. And he took a step forwards from that, finishing second behind Bielsa at York last time out. He was closing all the way then as well. Has to contend with a £4 higher mark now, but that should still see him pretty well treated if replicating his most recent form, and a good handicap. It looks well within his reach. I know I said that before, but it still looks well within his reach. So hopefully it's Wokingham. All be forgiven if it turns out to be the Woking. So Lethal Levi for me. Now we have another competitive handicap up now. It's the 0 to 105 Golden Gate Stakes for 3 odds over a mile 2 at 5.35. 8 to 1 co-favourites of 4. Good luck, Andrew. Happy to hand this one completely over to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get people to refer to this as the Gareth Gates, but so far it's only me who is doing that. It's not not in common usage. But yeah. I mean, we've had a short history of this race, just 3 previous runnings. But again, a bit like the the mile and a half handicaps, high draws have been favoured. Highland Chiefs 20 to 1 won this from stall 16. Then it 2 years ago, Fox's Tails from stall 13, and then last year missed the cut, justifying favouritism from stall 13 when chased home by runners drawn 19 and 15. So I'd be looking at the draw to narrow it down. Canute, one of the favourites, 9 to 2 is drawn 6. Knock Brex, well Francis 11 to 2 is drawn 7. So maybe look at taking on that pair and look to those with a sort of drawn high. There's a cheek pieced first time Obelix for John and Freddie Gosden might run a race, and perhaps Line of War for Charlie Johnson. But I didn't have a strong opinion. I'll have a closer look at it nearer the time, but I'll just be perming some of the higher drawn runners in don't take exotic bets.
Yeah, so higher drawn runners. And I say the co-favourites of 4, like I say, actually, I just refreshed my page and it has now found Canute as the 9 to 2 market leader. So yeah, it's done a fair switch around there. And Knockbrex has also cut in to 5 to 1. First Sight now at 15 to 2. And Zirab at 17 to 2. So those co-favourites of 4 are all completely different prices now to the one that I said at the start of that race. Now, our final race of Royal Ascot 2023 is the Queen Alexandra Stakes, a conditions race for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5.5 furlongs at 6.10. Willie Mullins heading the way again at Stratum as 100 to 30 market leader. So can the flat trainer get another winner on the board this week, Andrew?
Very, very likely, very possible at least. Again, this is one that I've not spent a great deal of time on, and every time you try to step out one at a big price, you usually end up getting scuppered by a Mullins short price one. But the one that does interest me as the each way angle is got to be the Grand Vizier for Ian Williams. Now, I mean, as a general rule, Frankels tend to sort of go off the boil when they hit the age of 6, and if you backed all sort of Frankels age 6 or older on the flat, you'd lose a lot of money. But this one sort of kind of keeps defying logic and running well despite advancing years. And because he ran here on Tuesday in the 2.5 mile Ascot Stakes, ran an absolute blinder. Came out of stall 20, slowly away in rear, switched right soon after start to get towards that inside rail, which is generally where you don't want to be, because what happens, they bunch up the inside rail and he met trouble, they meet trouble, and that's what he did. So he's only got beaten 5 lengths, I think it was, into 8th place at 40 to 1. I thought that was that was a really good run, and we know he stays this sort of trip, and although in terms of ratings, he's got a bit to find with some of the market principles. Stratum rate 108, he's 95, and they're and he's only getting £3. But if you're looking for an each way, a horse who's going to be staying on at the business end, then the Grand Vizier is the one for me.
20 to 1 about the Grand Vizier for Ian Williams and Richard Kingscote. So that is the way to play our final race now, Andrew. You know what's coming. Your nap
Ooh.
of the 5th and final day of Royal Ascot, please.
I'm going Rohan in the what do we call it? The QE Platy Tube Stakes.
Catchy as ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the QE2 Jubes. Yeah, Rohan then. Oh, I like that a lot. I'm so pleased. I'm going to go Hookham in the Hardwicke at 420 then for me, even though it's super competitive in itself. But I'm trying to play the last 2 days more conservatively than the big swings I had on the first 3 days because, well, the first 2 days hasn't worked out. Hopefully it will do today anyway as we record before racing on day 3. That is everything from us, though, from our Royal Ascot previews. A big thank you to Andrew and to Daryl for all of their hard work. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet UK. A big thank you to you for watching, for listening, for getting involved in the comments section. Do again let us know any of
Don't
your
thank Daryl,
selections.
he's unexpected.
I know, to be fair, he's only done a part-timer Daryl. Big thanks to him as well. Hopefully he survived his stag do and he'll be back with us next week. Enjoy the final 2 days of Royal Ascot and we'll catch up with you again very soon.